This is how I wrote my book.
Everything is figured out. Marketing isn't about to discover and write in their own voice.
Just to review a couple of things, right? Curriculum-based book or message-based book. What do you want them to feel? That's really important. Now, the third thing I'm going to share with you that was really, really important is creating contrast. Contrast, excuse my handwriting here, in terms of ideas. And contrast is what makes ideas interesting. You don't have to be contrarian necessarily, but contrast really helps. It creates friction, a little bit of friction. Friction is your friend when you're writing a book. Friction is your friend when you have a point of view, whether it's a curriculum how-to type point of view or a message how-to point of view. And this is actually, despite me having so much curriculum-based content, is how I started to work a little bit of my message into the book. So what I did to create contrast, this is a lot of this was because of my friend Jeff Goins, and he helped me kind of pull this apart. My friend Karen Anderson is the one who asked me, how do you want readers to feel? These were really, really important pieces that my friends gave me. And so what he asked me, what Jeff asked me is like, well, what do you see most people do when they're trying to build a personal brand? Like, what do they try to do, and why is it wrong? Why doesn't it work? And I was like, oh, I've never been asked that question before. Well, here's why it doesn't work. On one hand, some people just flat out lie about who they are and what they do. They rent a big Airbnb, stage a photo shoot, and act like it's their house. They just lie. That's ludicrous, right? And it's like, oh, that's interesting. That's okay. What else do they do that doesn't work? What's the opposite of what they do when they lie? And I thought to myself, they overshare. And he's like, what do you mean by that? I was like, they overshare in the name of authenticity. So on one hand, people lie. On the other hand, people are trying to be overly authentic, and they air out all their dirty laundry. They talk about all sorts of things that are not relevant to the problem they're trying to help people solve, right? They overshare about, and again, you can get as personal as you want. I'm going to explain this in a second. This is the big analogy that colors the whole book, and it's the theme beyond the whole book. But I didn't get to it until I really thought about this. And I was like, well, here's what they talk about a divorce. They talk about trauma. They talk about abuse. They talk about infidelity. They talk about bulimia. They talk about, whatever it is. Not that those things are wrong, but if they have nothing to do with your brand, they have nothing to do with the problem you're trying to help people solve, then you're just airing out dirty laundry. And yeah, oversharing gets attention. But this kind of attention is like when you're on, the highway and there's a car wreck. Like, yeah, you get people who turn and look and they're like, oh my gosh, look at that accident. But that's what their brand is like. It's like a car wreck. And he's like, well, what should people do instead? And I'm like, well, what's the opposite? Like, what makes a good brand? What makes a good personal brand? And then we came up with this kind of concept, and it's like, is it something that you can build a campfire around? And my goodness, that was what I wanted to say. That is the message. Even though there are tactics and there's a curriculum behind everything, this right here is what I wanted people to understand. Okay, here's my lame attempt at drawing a fire, right? Like, the way a personal brand really works is if you have something and you become someone that is worthy of being a brand. You become someone that people want to build a campfire with, that people want to build a campfire around. They want to come to your gathering. It's warm. It's inviting. It's a cause or a mission or a problem that you're trying to solve that can make the world a better place. I'm just dropping stuff everywhere, okay? But this is the heart behind what I was trying to say. And this is what I wanted people to feel. So finally, somebody who's saying this, not just make $10 million a year, not just be on big stages and sell stuff out so you can be like kind of a jerk and, take pictures of your Lamborghini and act like you're all that. Finally, someone who's saying something that's truly authentic, who's advocating for integrity in the personal brand space. This is how I found the message. I want to invite you to pick up a copy of my book, You Are the Brand. You can go on youarethebrandbook.com or find it on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, anywhere. I hope that you will consider picking up a copy of this book. It's going to serve as a guide for you, a roadmap, a blueprint for you, if you will. And don't give up on building your personal brand. You can do this. There is a process, and I'm here to help you. Hope to talk to you soon.